Are you proud of yourself and love your AF lifestyle, but sometimes nervous and embarrassed to tell people you don't drink? You are not alone. We hear this a lot from clients. Today's episode is an OG from 2024 where we address this topic, and it is so good we are re-releasing it. This is not to miss as we answer our listeners' question, I'm loving being alcohol-free, however I'm struggling with the label, probably because I judged others who were alcohol-free and considered them not fun.
Welcome to Sober and Lit,
the podcast for women who want to get sober, stay sober, and live a life that's way more lit than it ever was with wine.
We're your hosts, Ruby and Susan, two alcohol freedom coaches keeping it real with stories, tools, and zero judgment.
Whether you're sober curious or all in, you're in the right place.
Let's feel lit, alcohol free.
Hey, welcome back. We are so excited to be here with you. I think I say that every time, but
hello.
I really am.
hello.
I'm excited to be here with you, Ruby. We always have such a good time with each other, and recording this podcast is one of my favorite parts of the week. And this week we had a fabulous, very interesting question, but I think people will really relate to it. So this is one of our listeners who's in our Facebook group community, and she posted this question, and we both went, oh my gosh, this would be such a great episode. And so I will read the question, and you tell us if you really relate to this, because I think both Ruby and I have stories where we relate. So the question is, I am loving being alcohol-free. However, I'm struggling with the label, in quotations, probably because I judged others who were alcohol-free and considered them, quote unquote, not fun. Any advice on how to feel proud of it and not embarrassed by it? I know that sounds crazy to be embarrassed that I'm not drinking all the time. ... So that's the question. And I think it's a great one. I don't know, Ruby, did you ever feel that way?
Oh, absolutely. And yeah, you said we might have stories about that. So yeah, I'm going to share a story. I mean, you guys probably, if you know a little bit about me, I worked in the wine industry for like 20 years. And so I definitely felt that label, meaning like I am, I drink wine. I'm the wine party girl. I bring the wine to all the events, or I might go wine tasting. Like it was such a big part of my identity, Ruby ... works in the wine industry. That's who I was. And I thought it was super fun. I thought people that drank wine were fun, but that's who I surrounded myself with. And that's what everybody did. And we were always drinking more and more and more. And it just was normalized how much we were drinking. So embarrassed. Yeah, I really think I really relate to, like, I remember years ago looking at a Facebook post by somebody, and they said they were celebrating 1 year alcohol free. And I remember, because I wasn't ready, it was like, oh, they're probably not fun. Oh, why would they do that? I remember being very judgy. But yeah, as you get alcohol free and you get more confidence, you just, I don't know, we'll talk more about tactics, but like, yes, it was a whole process to like detangle my label or identity of like drinking wine and being a wine drinker, to changing that. And there's a whole process, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But what about you, Susan? Do you have like a story around this?
Yeah, I think in the beginning, it's so interesting that you said, you weren't ready yet. And so it's like, and the people who we think are judging us are defending their drinking, right? And that's something to always remember. Like, people who don't have a problem with alcohol could care less if you drink or not. It's the people who are trying to defend their own drinking that then maybe will be the people that think you're quote unquote not fun. And to also remember, we don't even know what they're thinking, but we'll get to that when we get to the tactic part. But for me, I definitely worried about this, or felt a little embarrassed, or I don't know if the word's embarrassed, but maybe othered, like I'm different, and I didn't like being different. that's a real trigger for me. I'm a little bit of a chameleon. I'm an Enneagram 3. I always wanted to fit in, which is so interesting though, because when Brene Brown's work, she says the opposite of connection is quote unquote fitting in. So that really spoke to me, where I'm like, yeah, when I'm just trying to fit in and not being my authentic self, then am I really connecting with people? But I think what I worried about, I came to drinking more later on in life. And so in the beginning of my drinking, it was really around vacations and special events. And it was not a problem until I started really drinking to cope as a maladaptive coping mechanism for my, for burnout. And so for me, when I thought about stopping drinking, it was sort of like, am I going to be seen as this goody two shoes who doesn't drink? Or, and also to me, it was like, well, this is how I let my hair down. This is the one bad thing I do. You know what I mean? It was like, why do I have to give this up? Like in the back of my mind, this is when I get to be a little bit bad and a little bit crazy, and I know clients, sometimes that's one of their things too, is like, this is the one thing I do for myself. But then you turn that around and it's like, but it's bad and it's bad for me and it keeps me in this stuck bad place. So it's like the one bad thing I do for myself, and it's like, yeah, and it is bad, So to like really question those thoughts and beliefs that I had around alcohol and what is even doing, is this something that's serving me? Is this something that's really letting me quote unquote let my hair down or relax, or asking myself, is that really true? And as I started to work through that, I was able to kind of let go of all those limiting thoughts and beliefs that were keeping me stuck. But I definitely have. And even recently, I had an experience where somebody was like, oh, you're not drinking? And it was somebody I didn't really know well. And I had that twinge of like, what do they think of me? And I had to talk myself down. I'm 4 years alcohol free, so I had to talk myself down and go, okay. And to just remind myself that it's not about me, it's really about them, and to stand and stay empowered in my own personal choice. And remember too, I don't know what they're thinking. You just go, yeah, I'm not drinking tonight. And then they just move on, So anyway, so
but you mentioned Brene Brown. I want to just really quickly, Brene Brown also uses the word badassery. Ooh, and it is this journey. So it's a journey, really. It's or a process. It doesn't just happen overnight. You start to gain this power, become empowered.
Yeah.
Anyway, I just wanted to quickly say, I love that word, badassery.
I do too. That's what really helped me. That's exactly right, Ruby. I dug into this badassery. It was like, I don't care what you think. Yeah, I'm a badass. I'm a badass
I don't drink.
Alcohol-free lady. Yeah.
Or what if all the other people that are drinking are just I don't know, addicted and basically sheep following all that kind of marketing and alcohol industry stuff? It's no, we're going against the grain. Yeah. It's a different way of thinking, and it's a process. Yeah.
It's a process. Absolutely. So speaking of process, Ruby, if this was your client who came to you with this question, how would you coach them through this?
Kind of looking at the beliefs. So I'll read the question again, and I'm going to try to find this the belief in there that's maybe not true. So we always are going to is that really true? So she's thinking that she's not fun, if she's alcohol free, or she's also thinking maybe that she'll be judged, which we call kind of mind reading. We actually don't know what people are thinking. Nobody, we don't know. We're not mind readers. So I might start with, I'm not fun if I'm alcohol free. And what we're talking about here when we start to look at it and ask, is it really true? It's called liminal thinking. And actually Dave Gray wrote a book called Liminal Thinking. And this is really the basis for a lot of, both of our coaching, because this is the style kind of what we do is you identify and understand and recognize the belief, so I, as a coach, I'm listening to to the client, your stories, and I'm pulling out what we might want to work on and an old story, right? So I might dig in and ask how the belief was formed. Is it really true? What do you really believe about it? How does it make you feel? What do you end up doing when you have this belief in terms of your actions? And then we start to work. And then the final step is this reframing, and which I call a turnaround. And that's where it just opens the door to a new perspective, a new possibility. You're just being open to change. So that's kind of the liminal process here, which is a lot of what our coaching is based off of.
Yeah. Because we're both certified in affective liminal psychology, which is this process of mining those subconscious thoughts and beliefs. And we're assuming that other people will think we're not fun if we're not drinking.
Very good point.
Yeah, we're making that story up. And so it's like, I had this moment when I first told my parents that I was going to be a coach. I was visiting them, and then I went back in my room and I was sitting there going, oh my gosh, they're thinking I'm nuts. They're thinking, oh, crazy Susan, she's off doing something nuts, crazy again. I wonder if they approve, right? So I was sitting there and I'm like, I don't know what then I all of a sudden had this thought, I don't know what they're thinking. I'm just making that up. So if I'm just going to make something up, why don't I make up that they're really happy for me and they're proud of me and they think it's awesome?
I love that.
And then I just laughed and went to sleep, and I was perfectly fine. But it was just so funny to go, if I'm just making this up, why don't I make up something better?
Exactly. Yeah. I coach around that a lot too. Like you do have more control over your thoughts and feelings than you
realize. Yes. Yeah. So you call it a turnaround. I call it a rewiring of your thoughts and beliefs, or I call it a thought turnaround. Same. But also an important step too is after you have sort of this aha moment, or you work with your coach or on your own, and you have a thought, we need to practice that new thought. That's how we groove these new neural pathways, because those old thoughts are pretty ingrained there, and they're just, and if it pops up again, no big deal, because it's just there because it's been there for a long time. And then you can remind yourself, oh no, I have this new thought. But putting an action step to the new thought and practicing it, that's how we create transformation. You have an aha moment.
Putting a celebration piece to it too.
Yes.
After BJ Fogg's book, Tiny Habits, that's where this celebration, or really as you have a new neural pathway, as you're doing this new action, just celebrate. I have my pom-poms. If you're watching our YouTube, you see my pom-poms. Oh, you have pink ones. But yeah, high five in the mirror, or, fist pump, or just smile at yourself, smile that you're doing the new thing, the new action. And then that creates the new neural pathway, really strengthened, which will then create the new habit. Yeah.
Yes. Right. Because BJ Fogg says positive emotion is what helps create new habits.
Yes.
Not necessarily 90 days or 24 or however many times. Repetition, though, is important. So repeating that new thought, putting a sticky note up on your mirror every morning and reading that new thought, I'm an alcohol-free badass, maybe that's what you put on there. When I was in a group program, when I was becoming alcohol-free, we called ourselves the badasses. So we just sort of make it, sometimes people make that their password on their computer, badass. So you just are constantly reinforcing that new belief. And another thing, something that I do with my clients when they kind of get to this point where they have adopted the alcohol-free lifestyle. It's all kind of new. I call it kind of the cruising and grooving phase, where you're living your life, but you're still having these experiences. You're having new experiences. And maybe you come away with an experience, like a client would come to me with this experience of is one of the things I work on with my clients is to come up with their alcohol-free lifestyle position statement or elevator pitch.
Love it.
It's plan, and we've talked about this in the podcast before. Plan what you're going to say and what you're going to drink. So this is the planning what you're going to say. And what I would like to put out for us to consider here is that rather than wait and wonder what people are thinking, why don't we tell them what to think about our decision through our position statement. So mine was, I just feel so much better not drinking. I really noticed that my anxiety and depression is so much better. I took a break and decided to just keep going, and I just feel so much better. And just, or even like, so, you know, I know a lot of people are gluten free or dairy free or whatever. I'm alcohol free. And just, oh, and then people go, oh, yeah. Like I show them it goes in this category. It goes in the category of wellness because it helps me be less depressed and less anxious. It goes in the category. Like I'm framing it for them, and then people go, oh, okay.
Yeah, like who's going to say, oh, you got to drink, and you know, you'll feel, you'll
feel better.
You'll feel better. Yeah, I said I'm on a keto diet in the very beginning for like 6 months or so. That was my elevator pitch. I'm on a keto diet. Yeah. Keto diet does not have alcohol. Just kind of period. Just like I didn't go into that I had a problem or anything at first. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, not everybody needs to know that. Nobody needs to know that. You get to decide. It's your choice. You get to decide what you tell people. And you get to, but it's your attitude and your affect around what you tell them that helps frame it for them. If you're super happy about it, then they'll be happy about it. Or if they are not happy about it and they're like those drink pushers, you just have to remind yourself that people who don't have a problem with alcohol don't care if you don't drink. It's the people who are defending their alcohol use that probably in the back of their minds are like, yeah, I probably need to, cut back too. And then
or they want a drinking buddy, right? They just want their drinking buddy. But back to being embarrassed, like the original question, she also mentioned being embarrassed, and like, there are ways that you can be out, like just going to say, like say you met people for drinks at a bar or something. And you could be alcohol free by going and getting your own drink, going up and ordering it. And it can be a mocktail or an NA beer. And it's going to look exactly the same. Like people don't actually have to know what is in your cup. I say that all the time. It's a beverage in your cup, and you can go on the sly and... No, you don't even have to have this conversation if you're not ready. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's great. But I think also back to the listener's question, is embarrassed. That's one of those deep self-beliefs that we also would work through with coaching.
Exactly.
Where we'd kind of go, okay, where is that coming from? Where is that feeling of embarrassment coming from? Why your inner child is triggered somehow by that and that feeling of embarrassment. What's the thought that's creating the feeling of embarrassment? Or what is the past experience? And we would deconstruct that and unravel that with the client using some of our questioning techniques. I would maybe use a befriend your fear, go in and befriend that place of embarrassment. What's going on there? We would try to nurture that place. So we'd really want to explore that too. Like what's the origin of this feeling of being embarrassed if you're not like everyone else?
And you can go from, and it may take multiple times of working with a coach, but you can go from embarrassment to badass. Like like to literally like living in the world as a badass, which I want to keep bringing that word up because I love it.
I know. I love saying it too. It's like, whoop, whoop. Yeah. I love it. So speaking of badass, you, Ruby, what are you doing lately to feel lit with your badass self?
Okay. Well, right before we were like talking about it, and I was like, okay, well, what am I actually doing right now? I'm trying to remove TV. So I will binge watch TV, and it feels kind of like how I was trying to numb with alcohol. Actually, it feels similar in the brain for me. And it's like when I just turn on a show and like it's a series or something, and I just hit next. And it's like, it feels that kind of like I'm on autopilot. So I got this idea actually from Dan Sullivan, who's written several books, but one of them, or probably 100 books, but one of them that is specifically I was thinking of is 10X is better than 2X. And in it, he says that he went, he stopped watching TV just for, I think, 1 month. And then when he got to the end of the month, he realized he was getting so much more done. He had so much more time and he was so much happier. And so I actually I did a month a couple of months ago. And then after the month, I did a whole 30 days. I'm so proud of myself, giving myself pom-poms. But then on day 31, I said, oh, I think I'll introduce it again. Now I'm back to watching TV every day. So I'm going to starting in August. I like to start sometimes on like August 1st, So I'm back to giving this a try because I went, well, what was so good about that 1 month? It was that I wasn't watching TV. It really, do you know, I up-leveled my life so much just by eliminating the one thing, which also echoes alcohol journey, right? By eliminating the one thing, I felt lit. I feel lit. So now by eliminating TV, I think I'll feel lit, and I'll just have so much more. Like, what really makes my brain relax is meditation and yoga, and I'm going outside in nature on a dog walk. Those are the things, rather than sitting down and watching TV, which a lot of times the shows, you think it's relaxing, but it's not. I mean, when I worked it through kind of this liminal process, and it's not, I wrote down TV relaxes me. And I ended up with TV does not relax me. Meditation relaxes me. Yoga relaxes me. And I'm not getting as much done in the evenings. So anyway, it's eliminating TV. That's how I'm feeling lit.
I love that.
What do you think about that?
Well, I think it's great. I think, we talk about adding things, but I think sometimes we also have to reflect and what are the things that need to be removed. That's part of feeling a lit lifestyle as well. It's like, what are the things that aren't serving me? And again, Brene Brown talks about you can feel yourself fall into that trance, right? And so nothing in it of itself is bad. TV isn't bad. We're not saying everybody needs to eliminate TV. But if you're watching a show and then again, you feel yourself fall into that trance where you're next. You can do it with social media. You're scroll, and you can feel yourself fall into that.
Or Candy Crush game.
Yes.
Or something. I don't do that, but I've heard.
Yeah. When you feel yourself get into that trance where it's just like, oh, all this time is flying by and you're just meaninglessly. Like sometimes I'll watch a show. It's a meaningful show to me. I like it. I like the acting. I'm enjoying it. But I am also really good about limiting it to only one episode. I very rarely do 2 episodes in a row.
You are good. That's good. You're a normal TV watcher.
Oh, quote unquote. Yeah. I can feel the pull sometimes to just like, oh, I want to see what happens. But to your point, it does not relax me. And sometimes I have to be very careful what I watch at night. Like if I watch one of these like murder mystery things that's like very high intense, I'm like all jacked up and then I'm trying to go to bed. So and that doesn't serve me. It doesn't serve my sleep. So I'm just so much more, it's really about being personally aware of what's going on in your body and what is serving you. So watching something very intense at night is not necessarily a great thing for me and doesn't serve me because it doesn't serve my sleep. And so just being so aware. All change happens on the other side of awareness, right?
Exactly. And I think eliminating it, at least for me, like it's kind of like when you talk about like eliminating alcohol for 30 days. I'm going to try it again and I might have a data point. But the first thing I did was eliminate, I canceled Netflix. I canceled, Hulu, a couple, the streaming, and took those apps off my phone and off my Apple TV. So it's kind of that, like literally removing it, like taking alcohol out of your home. You kind of like, it's just, so anyway, wish me luck. I think it's going to be a fun month. I'm going to get so much more yoga in is really what I want, right? Like I want so much more yoga in my life. So here's one thing to do.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I think that's so great. So great. And I think it's a really good point to bring up because we're always talking about what we're doing, but it's also what we're not doing. So I think that is a great point. And I'm glad you brought that up this week. That's so great. So we are super excited to end this episode, but I really, really want to encourage you, if you're enjoying our podcast, please join our Feel Lit Facebook community if you haven't already. We have so much fun over there, and it's a way to really connect with us and a way for you to ask some questions that may end up being featured on the podcast, because that's where we're getting a lot of the questions that we're finding really meaningful and valuable. And I think that especially if you relate to it, you're going to relate to the community that is in the Facebook community. And also, if you want to see our smiling faces, you can watch this episode on YouTube. So hop over there and check it out. And I'm usually looking like a dork, and Ruby looks amazing. So I just have a very expressive face, and it's just, when I go to like find snapshots or something, I'm like, oh, how much dorkier can I look? I'm like, there I am. Sometimes I even try to find the dorkiest one. So, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So we'd love to connect with you, and we will see you next time.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Thanks so much for listening to the Sober and Lit podcast.
If you enjoyed this episode, we would love it if you would subscribe, rate, and review. It really helps get the word out.
And remember, do something today to help you feel lit.
See you next week.